As you can see, we're outside, and I've got the cabinet on its side. And today what I really want to try to do is deal with the paint on the left side of the cabinet. Now obviously the citrus strip approach that I took on the other side of the cabinet through both layers of paint, really trying to avoid that. Really trying to avoid the rough scrubbing that really screwed up the sticker that was on there. So what we're going to do is I'm going to try an approach that I got from Charlie at Overtime Arcade. And so this approach is, what we're going to do is we're going to cover this whole thing in paper towels. We're going to absolutely soak them in isopropyl alcohol. And we're going to wrap it in saran wrap. And then we are going to let it sit for like 5 to 6 hours. Come back and should be able to basically just paper towels just kind of wipe off this top layer. So the first thing I want to do is I've got a couple of trash bags and some painter's tape. And I just want to tape off kind of the art and the screen just to make sure that nothing gets in those areas. Grab the rest of the materials and we'll get started. Forward a little bit. Problem is the sun is always moving. Okay, up this way a little. All right, so we've got the canopy and we've got our fully wrapped and isopropyl coated. And I just want to come in here and I might want to tape these joints, but I'll do that off camera. So I'll make sure there's no gaps in the saran wrap. But like I said, I may just run a line of tape all the way up and down just to be sure because, yeah, there's a bit of wind out today. So I think that's it, and we will check back in 5 to 6 hours. So I just came back out to check on the process, and it had started to dry out a bit. So I applied some fresh IPA to it, and what I think I'm going to do is, it had been about an hour, and so I put some fresh IPA on it, and I think what I'm going to do is pick up some more IPA, because I'm definitely running a bit low. Luckily I have a CVS around the corner, and what I want to do is maybe in one more hour peel back all the saran wrap and kind of re-soak it. And what I think I want to do is do the saran wrap differently. So because I did it horizontally, there are a lot of gaps between the saran wrap, right? Because, you know, the kind of the width of the saran wrap and everything. So I think what I want to do is kind of take all the saran wrap off, leave the towels on, and then we will re-soak the entire thing and then redo, because like I said, I've got plenty of saran wrap. So what we'll redo the plastic wrap and do it vertical from the start. And I think that's going to leave fewer gaps between the layers of plastic wrap, because we're going to have like less kind of iterations of this, which might let less escape. And then the other thing I want to do is I want to go really heavy on the overlap. So just really overlap it, really just wrap it up a lot tighter. So like I said, I've kind of gone through with the half a bottle I had left and just kind of topped up the paper towels with some fresh isopropyl, and in about an hour we'll unwrap it fully and give it a whole nother layer. Probably gonna pick up 4 or 5 bottles of isopropyl and we'll see how it goes. Alright, came back out, been about an hour, and the edges are definitely starting to dry out a little bit, but it's not too bad. So I think we're just gonna have to really be on top of about once an hour, just coming out and re-soaking this thing. But I am gonna try re-wrapping it with the saran wrap the other way. I'm not gonna shoot that just because you guys have already seen me do it. It's gonna be the same thing, just with vertical main wrapping rather than horizontal. And I'll come back in another hour and see how it's going. So as I was putting the rubbing alcohol back on, I saw 2 promising signs. One is this, where there's some actual color coming up onto the paper towel, and then the other is the wind blew it out of the way, and as you can see, it's starting to get a bit of like a leathery texture, which has me really hopeful that in several more hours this will be ready to come up. Alright, gonna rewrap this sucker now. Alright, figured I would actually show you how this wrap came out. So as you can see, I went a lot further down on the sides to try to stop air from blowing in there quite as much, since it is a windy day. And I also did a lot more of the painter's tape. It's not necessarily holding great, but there's a ton of it, so hopefully it's going to help keep this down. And then the other thing I'm going to do is on the problem areas, I'm going to just add some weight to try and make sure that the plastic wrap kind of stays flat to the surface as much as possible. So give it another hour, we'll see how it's going, but I am really hopeful given that nice leathery texture. Well, the outside air is definitely causing this to dry out much quicker than I would like, so I'm gonna keep going. I've got like this bottle and 3 more that I grabbed. I'm just gonna keep pulling up the sides and kind of squirting a bunch in there every hour, 45 minutes, and we'll see where we get at the end. All right, it's been just about 5 hours. Been coming out here, refilling, re-wetting this over and over again, and I think it's just finally time to give it a go. Oh man. Should be able to kind of come back with should be able to at least like just sand down the sides and maybe just keep our touch-ups to that area, but I'm not sure. I think it just got a little too dry out here, so this may need a second pass. All right, now over here you've got a bubble forming right where the vinyl is. That's not great. This looks like a gouge that was on there before it got painted. So if I add some IPA, this layer's just not moving, this lower layer. So thinking we're probably going to have to take this inside and try doing it there, try running some fans and just try to keep a lot of the fumes from getting too bad. But I think it was just drying out. I was coming out here pretty frequently and refreshing it, but I don't think it was enough, so we'll give it another shot. But yeah, this side is really, I hadn't seen it because I'd been so focused on the other side, but this side has a lot of water damage, so we may very well end up taking this side back to the bare wood, bondoing and repainting it, but we're just gonna have to see. So I'm actually noticing that the IPA was damaging the wood. Particle board just soaked it up, and so it's all spongy. So I don't know how many of these little pimples would have been there before, or how many of them came from this process. Oh boy, this side might actually end up being more work than the other side. Oh, the wood explode more than we damage the paint. Well, there's no way of knowing it before we tried it. The real problem is we may end up needing just a new piece of wood here because this thing is really bowed out. I guess we'll have to see once it dries fully where it gets, but yeah. I mean, I've already ordered the stencils. I'm gonna have to buy paint, so it may just be that we can't save either side of this thing. We'll see.
Well, what did I learn? Don't get particle board wet. I can't stress this enough. I can theorize about it. I think that I made it even worse by reapplying and reapplying and reapplying. The solution when you buy rubbing alcohol is some percentage alcohol, 99%, 90% alcohol, and the remaining percentage is water. And so I don't know if the alcohol itself would have done the damage if it was 100%. But yeah, don't get it wet. Do not use this approach on a particle board cabinet. Apparently this approach works great for plywood, but it really doesn't work for particle board. I got nothing much else to say about it. There's a lot of work ahead for this cabinet. Alright, folks. Well, if you liked the video, please give us a like. Consider subscribing to the channel. We're growing subscribers every day, and I'm really grateful for that. This whole series has been a really fun little adventure, and I will see you on the next one.